This is Michael from TRex. We're at the Frankfurt Show 2008. I'm really proud to present Michael Angelo Batio to you guys. He's a dear friend of the TRex family. So Michael, what's the story behind you and TRex?
Well, a couple of years ago when I was playing here in Frankfurt, the distributor of Dean Guitars said, "Michael, would you mind trying these pedals out?" And I said no, and he was the distributor of TRex. So he puts the replica, and then he had, I think it was in Alberta for the overdrive, and I listened to them, and the owner of Dean Guitars, Elliot, listened to them, and we both went, "Whoa, these sound great." And Elliot talked to me and said, "Michael, these really sound good." And so then we talked to Steen and all the people at TRex, and I just love the pedals. I think they sound great. But that's how it happened. It was here in Frankfurt a few years ago. And from that point on, I've used them ever since.
Cool, Michael. I really love your tone. You got that vintage tone going on. Can you please tell me your basic guitar setup?
Yeah, the basic setup, when I say, for example, when I do guitar clinics, I have to keep it very simple. I use a replica through the effects loop on my amp, and then I use my MAB TRex Signature Overdrive. That's my basic setup. The setup that I use when I record, and say if I'm in the United States and I can bring a pedal board, is I've got a whole assembly of pedals, the Roommate, the Viper, you name it, the compression. And so I have a whole pedal board that I use of TRex too. And it really helps with clean guitar sounds. But when I do a clinic, because I'm touring so much, I can only bring a few pedals. So the replica and my MAB overdrive are the two main ones, and then all the other pedals that I use are extra ones.
I met Mark the last time we played in Denmark. Mark Tremonti from Alter Bridge, and he's a great guy. He's the best man. What's the story behind you, him, and TRex?
Well, Mark Tremonti and I are very good friends, and if you know the band Creed, they were one of the biggest rock bands in the world. Mark was the main guitarist and songwriter of Creed, and now he's with a band, Alter Bridge. But anyway, I know Mark really well. We get together all the time, and he was in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. It's north of Chicago, doing a concert with Alter Bridge. I was in town, so I came to the show, and I brought a small practice amp and my TRex MAB overdrive. Wow. And we were jamming backstage before a show, and he asked me, he goes, "Mike, can I try this in my concert setup?" So we went on stage, he put this in his rig, he played it, and he goes, "Wow, this sounds fantastic." And so I gave it to him that day. So that day, that night in the performance, he used the MAB overdrive, and he's used it from that point on. And then he asked me about TRex, and then that's when I gave him Steen's number. And then when he was in Denmark, and then he talked to you.
Okay, Michael, it's a pleasure meeting you. So what's your plans for the future?
Well, I write for Guitar World magazine in the United States. That's the #1 guitar magazine. I've been writing my column for a year and a half, but it's a video column too. It comes with a CD where you can watch the lessons. So I traveled to New York to do another 6 months, so it'll be over 2 years. I'm working with Mark Tremonti on a DVD. I will see him in 2 weeks. I'm going to play another 100 shows around the world this year. So it's more DVDs, more shows, more CDs. That's what I do.
Thank you so much for coming to the show, Michael. We're very proud of having you in the family. Hope to see you again soon on the road.